You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Chris Gillis. Top dating mistakes you're making online. Ladies, if you heard a little man chuckle in the background, it's Chris Gillis, and we are back. And you say, there's no Bachelor. And our response is, so what? Now what? We've got Love is Blind. Woohoo! Woohoo! By popular demand. Popular demand. I'm super excited. Now, let me just tell you this. Like, when we first started, what we're going to go over episode 1 today. But when I first watched episode 1, I have to tell you, and I think I maybe mentioned this when we were watching it together, I had total PTSD because I watched season 1 after my ski accident, and I was like bedridden for 9 weeks. And I just remember laying in bed watching Love is Blind.
Whoa. So did it bring what kind of like phantom pains up?
No phantom pains, but I just remember watching it, but like also kind of being like, it was like such a distraction. Like I would watch it. It would just take me out of my like situation and my pain and my fear and my discomfort just by like watching and getting invested in these other people. And it was in that way a super big service to me. And so I was watching it this time and I was just like, oh, I feel good. This is just a show I'm watching. It's not like mind medication.
Right. Yeah. Part of your rehab.
Yeah. Part of my rehab. So anyway, but I'm super excited to be back walking around. And this is my second episode recorded from our brand new studio in our RV.
Amazing.
Which we've named Andy. So it's the second episode in Andy. I could tell you guys why we named it Andy later. But first question. So we got Love is Blind. So Chris, why don't you set up if someone's never watched Love is Blind, and then we're going to be just talking about dating advice. So if you don't want to watch it, you'll still get some good tips here. So what's the scoop?
So what drew me, and for the listeners, you guys heard me, Joe and all, like, because I got so over with tired of The Bachelor, formulaic, and I know been there, done that. What Love is Blind is about for people who have not watched it, and you don't have to watch it if you don't want to, but it's fascinating because, people are stuck in these, they call it pods. They're separated. They can't see each other. They can't see a silhouette. All you hear is the audio and like this like opaque piece of like glass that separates these people. And you just see them fighting so hard to, and asking questions to try to get like a visual, some sort of perspective on who that person is. And then in the end, they kind of have to surrender and they have to really get to know the other person. And what's so cool is that they ask the questions that Marni is always going off about, like one Bachelor, like, oh, they never get deep. They don't ask the right things. And it's a state so surface, but they go deep quick. And I don't know if it's because they can't see each other or whatnot, but they end up dating and that kind of interviewing all these people, trying to get to know them. There's like 20, what is it, Marni, like 40 of them or something like that?
There's a lot, but a lot of them don't make it. And a lot of them, you don't even see them after the first, here's the group.
Yeah. And so much interesting, crazy, beautiful things. Like I think I teared up already. Like it may have been episode 1 or like quick. I mean, it's that awesome. So
you got to watch it. So they're basically trying to prove, is love blind? Can you love somebody if you've never actually met them? So let's just start out with the most important thing, because this is when I meet someone who comes into my coaching program and we give them like 5 non-negotiables. So when they're like going through their selection process, we make people, we're so mean, come up with 5 core values that like are deal breakers for them. And inevitably, when someone first comes in, they're like chemistry, attraction. There's something they want so desperately to put on their list of deal breakers. Like, I want to have to bang this person, and this show, the premise is that is not necessary right? To fall in love with someone.
Right.
So, and do you think that that's true? Like, do you think love is blind? Because there was some interesting things that happened just in episode 1 in regard to that. So what do you think?
Oh, I think that it's amazing, and I've got to do some of your man panels, and I too have been a person who holds a list of, and I have many single friends that they're, they say, oh, like a couple things, and they pull like their pages full of all the criteria they need, and I love how, I guess you were only allowed to bring 5 to your program, but yeah, these people, they don't really get, they can have their mental list, but I think what's cool, and we will talk about soon about talk about Shake a little bit coming up. He's a guy on here. He definitely has his own list, and he basically rips it up. He says, this is bullshit. This is not the stuff that's important. So, is love? I guess love doesn't have to be blind. And what's so great is this reminds me of like small town love, like the people who like they actually they've known this girl since second grade, and they do rocks at each other, and they just have these really in-depth, bigger bonds than just all the Botox, Instagram fillers, followers, all the bullshit and cars and money and purses and stuff that we suss people up with. So I think I think ultimately it can, and people end up falling and finding out that list they thought, that 4-page list, they end up, I think a lot of times end up finding out there's so much more that they actually didn't know that they find insanely attractive about that person. So long answer, short answer long. Yes. And people I think they have a different type of personality, and beauty is subjective. And that's what these people end up discovering.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. I mean, I think that I've seen so many of our clients, and people are like, oh yeah, they settled. No, they didn't settle. They just really got clear on what they're really looking for in a partner. And then they realized that when the person they're dating really showed those things, like big time, they were so attracted to that. And they were also not who they thought they were going to end up with. So let's talk about it. There's one person on here who really wants to let everyone know like how hot she is.
Yeah.
I think her name was Shayna, right?
Trisha, I think.
Trisha.
Well, okay, no. Yeah, Trisha is the Instagram one that keeps going off about us.
Yes, all her followers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she and this, I love this because it is such a great example of somebody who is attractive, and on paper, like you're supposed to think they're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say that, your unconscious beliefs will leak when you're dating. So you can have everything like looking on point, but the conversation that you have with yourself in your head just like oozes out. And so for this young woman, like she is so overt in trying to communicate her confidence by her external situation, her data, that it comes off as really unattractive and masculine. And I think that a lot of ladies do this on dates, and they have no idea how it's coming across to a guy. What did you think about her situation?
What do you mean by you say masculine? And if so, yeah, if that's what you said, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean like competitive, I'm really popular, I'm really great, guys really like me, I'm hard, I'm a catch, you need to know what a catch I am. It's this very it's like when you are overconfident, someone who has a lot of emotional intelligence is going to be put off by that and be like, why are you working so hard to tell me how great you are? Why aren't you just being and let me figure out how great you are?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it kind of, you can cleverly, I think a single guy can cleverly let it slip out, or seemingly cleverly let slip out or something. But she keeps beating that same drum over and over again. And I love what you said about how our insecurities leak out eventually. And so almost, after saying that, about how she has all these men and followers and everything, she goes on to say that, and she says, but she can't figure out why nobody will settle. She says the word settle for her. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's a pretty powerful. Like, yeah, I think you just showed how you really feel about yourself.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Now, there's another guy too, and I can't remember what his name is because I only watched episode 1 for the show. Who keeps asking, "What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing?"
That's Shake,
right?
Oh,
Shake.
No, that's not Shake. You're talking about
That's Shane.
Shane. Shane's the blonde one. Yeah, he keeps asking Shane.
Shayna, what are
over and over again.
you? Yeah, what are you wearing? What are you wearing?
What are you wearing?
And it's like that guy who sends, who asks for send a picture. What are you wearing? Right? Like, what do you have on right now? It's gross. But what's crazy is that she is like, I'm wearing a crop top. I'm wearing a crop top. A crop top. And it's, to me, I was just like, ooh, that's not attractive. And that guy ends up being like trying to play people. And ultimately there's a surprise about him at the end. But again, it's that over sexualizing when you're talking to someone. And this is a great mirror of what online dating looks like, right? Because you're only communicating through words. You can't really actually see the person. So do you think that people make that mistake of either feeling like they have to go with it if someone is being inappropriate at the gate? Or what do you think?
I think that's the easy, especially if like we're like this Trisha gal here. And it's some people, it's so interesting. Some people are so gals are so comfortable, some people they're so comfortable sharing some inner, tidbit about their history or a pain or something that happened. And some people are so quick to show their tits.
Right.
For them to do it. It's always so fascinating to be like, the literal chest and then the metaphorical, what's inside their heart. It's fascinating. And I think, there's this, you could tell these people are just taking the easy way out. That's what I dig about these shows, because most of the time, these people they're just stuck fucking hitting it. They're in such a rut, and they're just so, archetype of this type of person, and they don't learn, and they're kind of forced to learn. In this case, you see them, Shane, going crazy. A lot of them going crazy. Remember that they're coming up, they're like chimpanzees up to the window. They're like, God, I just want to like touch you and see you and, and smell you and see what you look like. They like hold you, and, they want to make sure they're not getting that validation. And then the girls, then Trisha, she can't go with her favorite move, but she's attractive or pretty, and then Shayna can't show her crop the top off, and so all these, you see these, like, melts their brains.
It does melt their brain. It does melt their brain, and that's what's really interesting is because, and this is kind of deep, like if you feel at an unconscious level your worth is your sexuality, like guys like me because I have big boobs, or guys like me because they want to sleep with me, or I have to sleep with a guy to get him to like me. In this venue, it's not really, it doesn't come into play, and then they don't know what else to say, or they don't know what to talk about, and they're not going to do well in this environment. And I'm trying to think of the names of the people who end up getting engaged in episode 1.
Was that? Oh gosh. Yeah. I don't even know.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to.
Because they were so normal. And so they didn't open, and they didn't bring that. They didn't have that laundry list of things that they think they need. And it just reminds me, like, Marni, I don't know why this pops up, but like when we're in high school and we think, oh, okay, Marni, you were smart. So you're, okay, smart people, you were going to either be like a doctor, a lawyer, or like some 3 or 4 things. And I think so often in life, we just carry, the same 3 or 4 lists that their societies of requirements, and hard 5 list or whatever you call it in your thing. And I think what's cool about the show is they have people they end up discovering, amazing, what do you call it? What's the word you said?
Non-negotiables. They're non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables. Yeah. They like discover some of their non-negotiables, like, holy shit. Or they didn't realize they could have that, because they could, they thought so small, and those, the woman thinking that, her man has to be 6'4". But it seems like on the show, they're not allowed to, overtly express their heights or their, I guess their physical features. They kind of, you gotta, make them get to know the person. But in the end, it's like a lot of that stuff you can see, it doesn't matter. And just seeing the looks and the joy, the sheer just beauty and love on their faces when they see each other first time. And man, I don't know, did you tear up? It made me tear up.
Well, I was just like, oh my God, they've been talking for like 2 days. I don't know the time frame. I was like, wow. But I mean, they just want to like get to, that was a little interesting to me.
I wonder if it was more than 2 days. I hope it is. Gosh, I hope it really wasn't just, I hope it was like, weeks of talking. I could be wrong though. I don't know how quickly they shot them. It does seem rushed. And I don't know if
it seems so fast compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
So let's talk about tacky online dating questions. So Shake, like they're trying to figure out, are you fit? Fair enough. And so he's like, what does he say? Like, do you go to the gym, or how often do you go to the gym?
Yeah. Do you like music? Yeah. Do you like, oh, cool. Do you like going to concerts? Yeah. When you're at a concert, would you like to get on top of a man's shoulders?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Are you able to get like you fucker? It was so.
That was really
it's
aggro.
Like remember the Michael Scott was dating somebody, and he asked her if she could fit inside an average size rowboat without it capsizing. It's like his way of trying to think he's not being tacky, but in the end, so tacky. What do you suggest to your ladies to handle those questions, as well as also I wanted to hear what your thoughts on when a guy is completely going for their old moves and getting you to talk, be sexy, when you're like, well, that's not really, kind of like you can tell they're fishing about what you're wearing, or oh, I love that, how that shame goes off on it.
One thing that I recommend is if someone's asking you, well, first of all, it's a huge pink, almost red flag if someone's like asking you like, what are you wearing, or send me a picture, I'd be like, my pictures are current and online, that's what I look like, they're all current. Or that's something that will happen when you earn it, smiley face. Right? Like being playful about it, or the slower I go, want to know a secret? The slower I go, the faster I get there. Those are all really good comebacks if you feel like you want to give somebody the benefit of the doubt, because some people are just idiots. But
we are.
Totally. But if there's pressure or any of those kinds of things, then that's something that you want to remove them from your list of potential suitors. Right. So I think that someone is going to ask you some questions about your values, and they can be asked in a way that's appropriate. And I do want to say, Chris, because I think people are like, yeah, men are such douchebags. And you could talk about this. Like, there's women who are trying to find out, like, what kind of car do you drive? How much money do you make? Like financial information, or the same sort of fitness stuff around the guys that they're dating. So I just want to say that women do this too.
Yeah, and I've seen, heard some of your ladies. Maybe I saw it in different setting as well. But yeah, gals who really busted their. Oh no, I have a friend. Yeah, like really busted her ass, and her non-negotiable. Yeah, the guy has to make more money than her, but she makes like $300,000 or something like that. I'm like, there's not a lot,
right? You're at the top.
And we're 6, like there's got to be 6'4" and make more money than me, and this. I'm like, holy moly, babe, that's tough. And she's like, no, why would I, And she flipped it on me. She's like, well, I want to make sure they feel like a man. And it's basically assuming that did be emasculated and be ashamed of themselves if they were with her because she makes earns some more money. I'm like, I'm not. Probably doesn't give a shit. If it was a priority, he'd probably be doing it, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, how the silly mental games that we play with ourselves, the bullshit that we believe sometimes in dating, and it's just so unproductive. And I think that's what's cool. Yeah, I just love seeing kind of the little monkey in their brains go, oh, wait a second. And they realize they've been doing the wrong thing their entire life, and then they finally comes to the questions. And they ask something, they connect. Question for you, actually. Dr. Emily pointed this out. I noticed that they have like a little they have like booklets with them.
Yes,
And
they're taking like notes.
yeah, but it looks like they're typed up though. Do you think they're like John Gottman, 8 dates, conversations for a lifetime of love style, like notes to give them something to talk through, or are they just talking about whatever organically pops up?
I mean, I would guess they get some coaching on some questions to ask.
Yeah.
And maybe they get a typed up list, especially at the beginning, because it must be really kind of awkward. But I don't know. I never noticed that they were typed up. I just thought that they were carrying around their little journals. Just to sort of, like Dear Diary. John is so cute. Okay, let me ask you about this. Someone who says, and goes back to that bragging thing that Trisha did. Other girls are really intimidated by me. I mean, I just want to say this because I think that lots of women don't realize that they are sabotaging, because the grown-up version of this is that someone might say, oh, you're so beautiful, why are you single? Like, well, I'm very successful, so men are intimidated by me. No, don't say that. I'm like really active and da and I know I can be intimidating. Like, don't say that. That's not attractive. Like, come up with another answer. Like, why are you still single? Something that I always recommend is, I worked really hard on creating this certain life, and that was my priority. And now I'm feeling really great about myself in terms of like, I'm exactly where I am, where I wanted to be. And I'm so exactly looking right now. Like, it's just heaven and earth lined up for me to find my guy to share my amazing life with. But don't talk about like, you're intimidating or you're real or something, well, I'm really busy. This isn't like a job interview where they say, what is your greatest weakness? And you say like, oh, well, people will say I'm a workaholic. Perfect. And you're supposed to think that's great. Well, I want to hire a workaholic. It's not attractive.
Yeah. And it comes off, I know it gets you so much, by these, gals and usually they're very attractive when people say that. And it's just it's strange. Yet it is like a fake interview question. Like, no, that's fucking so old. We all know it's so cliche and corny, and it really does show. Whereas the other one, I love how you worded that. It was vulnerable, but without the way you decide, the way you rephrased it, without it being sad, I guess, which was, I thought I was waiting for you to say something sad or like be like, oh yeah, but this is something I struggle with. But you didn't even have to go there, did you? You just were able to say, this basically pointed the fact this was important to me, so I was focusing on that. Now I'm ready to make a switch, trying new things.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like you really want to just be authentic and not try and compensate, right?
That is kind of dudeish, like you said. Now that you pointed out, you're just kind of like, kind of pussy kind of stuff guys do to, and you're to be not vulnerable. Now I know what you mean when you said kind of male-ish or however masculine in a way, because it's not really, you're not answering the question, bro.
Exactly. Answer the question. Well, let's talk about this little love triangle that there was, right? Like Shane, Natalie, and Shayna, right? And there's this, and I think that the real life application of this is that if you're dating online or if you're just dating offline and you're at the beginning of courtship and a guy is saying things to you like, you're really great, or I really like your energy, or I really like your confidence, or whatever it is. And then we often forget that we're in the stage of dating whereby nobody owns or owes anyone anything. And I think a mistake that women make is they get overly optimistic rather than cautiously optimistic at the beginning, and be like, he's going to be the one. He said he really liked me. We had an amazing date. It's hard to remember that he might be dating someone else, and he could have also had a really amazing time with someone else, right? And so being honest about where you are in your dating. So, remembering or asking like, wow, we've really been spending a lot of time together. I just want to clarify, that we're both seeing other people, right? People often put off or don't want to have that conversation. Like, are we exclusive? And then they ended up being really blindsided, really upset when someone's like, yeah, I was been dating someone else and, I'm going to pursue that relationship. So
Hmm.
what do you think about making sure that you are clear about your expectations?
I think, well, as you were saying that, I think that, and you, I mean, I know you've always seemed like a badass, and you always carry this. And I've learned throughout the years that that you're actually, even though you seem hard as nails, you're actually very sensitive and soft, and you can get hurt as well. And I didn't. Took me a while to learn that about you. So as you were saying that, I was thinking, oh, Marni, gosh, but most people aren't as tough as you, and be able to compartmentalize and not leak, and we're all insecure and scared of losing somebody, and just how well, you seem to not have that anxious dating style personality. And so I was like, man, so I was thinking of it, but you were
But
saying,
I
like, that sounds
used
easier.
to, don't you
I
remember?
did. I don't remember. I don't know. You always seem like a bad bitch. I know you I never knew that you were. I guess maybe because it was with me and we were talking about it. I felt like you and I were like in the war room, like Churchill standing that arm to arm, figuring out a plan of attack on it. And you didn't seem emotionally scared. And yeah, you so very seldom do seem that way. And maybe just keep like a stone, face to it. But I don't know. Yeah, how do you get to that place? And yeah, if he is dating somebody else and you really do like him, and he says these things, he's kind of leading you on, like on the TV show Shane was leading on. Remember, he's like, oh, I wrote your name on my notebook, sort of thing, like
Right, like doodling it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's
yeah,
just
so it's kind of
about
saying without saying,
remembering, right? Like, so I think that when you're dating and you are aware that you're dating other people, it's not about having like a guard up and being tough, right? Or being like, yeah, I don't care if
Mm-hmm.
he's
Mm-hmm.
there's this fine line. And this is interesting because Nick and Danielle are the ones that like right away like fall in love, and Nick proposes.
Okay.
It feels like 2 weeks, blah blah blah, or 2 days, but it could be 2 weeks. But the bottom line is this: Nick tells Danielle that he really enjoys her voice. Like he says something vulnerable, and then she can let her guard down, and then they
Mm-hmm.
can open up, right? So the thing is that you
Yeah.
have to walk the fine line of being vulnerable, but also not getting so emotionally invested when you're first dating someone that you forget that they're dating other people. We always encourage our clients to make sure that they're dating other people at the beginning, so that
Yeah.
you don't put all your
Yeah.
eggs in that one basket.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think and that's what happened to the love triangle thing, right? With Shane and Natalie and Shayna, is that Natalie and
Mm-hmm.
Shayna, well, especially Natalie, is just like, oh my God, he's my one. It's amazing. And she just stops kind of putting her energy into the other guys that are there. And so I think in order to kind of walk that fine line of being vulnerable and open, and also confident and knowing that you are the prize, is to not get over invested at the beginning, and to really remember that you are doing the choosing.
Mm-hmm. 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 God. Yeah. Do you have any numbers on? I feel like very few people date multiple people. I'm just thinking about family members, and I know dating's changed a lot, right? Historically. But you know what? Maybe not necessarily. But even my grandma used to bust my ass. She was like, Chris, she's like, something's wrong with your generation. You guys all think you need to stick your pink things down each other's throats and then the first person you do that way too quick, and the next thing you know, you're in a long-term relationship. And she's like, we would go out, we do have a soda float at some place, we'd be with 5 different guys, and it wasn't a big deal. You didn't have to make out with them. You got to know them kind of, and you auditioned them. But I feel like there's so many people nowadays who, they got one person and they put so much pressure, right? When it's one person, because what's the likelihood of, just having that one person who likes you? be the one.
Yeah, I mean, I really, especially, like in the pandemic, I think that it was really easy. There were a lot of pandemic relationships. It was like, I'm not going to date like 15 people. Like I got one guy and he wants to bubble up. Let's do it. But I think now, especially, it's really important to remember that. And what I love about Love is Blind, and we can kind of end on this note, is that for those of you who don't know the construct of the show, like, so let's just say this guy, Nick, has proposed to Danielle. They didn't see each other. They meet each other. And now they're going to they're engaged. And now they're going to go live together for 3 months or whatever it is and make sure that they're committed. And that's kind of what can happen is if you don't date other people and you meet this one person and all of a sudden they're your everything and you put all your eggs in that one basket and you've made this massive emotional commitment and you don't even know them yet, right? And that's the science experiment of the game is well, they fell in love at first here, not first sight. Are they really compatible? Right. And it's like that Married at First Sight show, which I've never seen, but it's kind of the same concept. So I think that that's what'll be interesting to watch with this season and with the show is, can you really tell everything that you need to know just from talking to someone over a couple period of weeks? And even though they're having these really deep conversations, what we are going to find out is that enough, right, to be sustainable? Or in the end, you really need to get to know each other over a period of time and then make that decision that you want to make that kind of commitment. And what I will say to ladies is you just be honest with yourself. Life check yourself. Some of you are dating and you emotionally get so hepped up on the possibility and you decide they're your one because you want it so bad that whether you realize it or not, you might be falling into some of these traps. So I think it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Also want to say one thing I think it's worth pointing out is when we've done the man panels, a common question we get asked a lot, I think every time, probably by a lot, 100% of the time is the gals ask, is it okay for me to, how to pursue the guy? And then, we go over the arts and the strategies of it. And I think, and I would want to point out how powerful, how much polarity it creates of choosing somebody. And think about the times in life when you're standing next to a line, you don't, a bunch of strangers are around you. You don't notice, nobody sticks out as being any special or attractive or whatever. But when that person has noticed something about you and has chosen you, it's like, oh, wow, hey, you have they compliment your shoes or whatever. And all of a sudden you look and boom, and you really see that person and notice they got beautiful blue eyes or a great voice or something like that. And I think what's interesting, and I'm sure this shows up in the dating world a lot of times, is and it's easy to be, especially if you're waiting, if you're really seems like we're really thirsty and waiting and wanting to get picked so bad because maybe it was pandemic and people can't see your pretty smiles because you're wearing a mask all the time, and it's easy to fall for somebody really head over heels really, really quickly, the way that Natalie does because dipshit, he's like, oh, I wrote your name on my folder,
right?
Kind of hinting at what that means, and all of a sudden you see her, she's like, oh my God, I've been picked, and then it's almost like an obligation or whatnot, or just an attraction level that really can turn us on. So I think it's important to pump the brakes, but also if you're the one being chosen, but also if you're a lady out there, and you're wondering, is it okay? Oh, it's definitely okay, and it's a really powerful way to get the guy to appreciate how great and beautiful and really see you in it does set yourself apart from all the other, gals who are waiting for that person to come up there, the guy come up there and compliment you on something.
Absolutely. You're the queen. Well, I'm excited to see where this goes. Our little experiment analyzing Love is Blind. We'll be talking about episode 2 on our next show. If you have not watched it, you can tune in. Where are you watching it? Where are we watching it? Netflix. Okay, so it's on Netflix. It is bingeable, but we're going to go slow because the slower you go, the faster you get there, ladies. Woo! So get on the love train. Chris, it is so fun being back in the studio with you.
It is.
And
I love it. And I know we were all over the place today, gals, but there's just kind of laying the foundation. And Marni, episode 2, I couldn't hold back. I watch it and it's so good. and I can't wait to talk to you next week about it.
Yay! All right, I'll be in it to win it. Ladies, whatever you do, remember he might be dating someone else. So remember, life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.